Across the wires and through the air, those who seek will find me there. Story, wonder, voice, and art, find the ears and find the heart. Life has loveliness to sell, all beautiful and splendid things, blue waves whitened on a cliff, soaring fire that sways and sings, and children's faces looking up, holding wonder in a cup. Life has loveliness to sell, music like a curve of gold, scent of pine trees in the rain, eyes that love you, arms that hold, and for your spirit's still delight, holy thoughts that star the night. Spend all you have for loveliness, buy it, and never count the cost. For one white singing hour of peace, count many a year of strife well lost. And for a breath of ecstasy, give all you have been or could be. Barter by Sarah Teasdale. There is something almost overwhelming about June. The world is impossibly alive. Gardens spill over their borders, thunderheads gather in towering blue-gray cathedrals high in the sky. Fireflies drift through wet grass like wandering stars. The air is heavy with an inescapable fullness. And maybe that's why June belongs so deeply to the in-between. Not just to the morning, not just to the evening, not just to the noon sun, but to all of it. Because after the intensity of the sun, after the endless brightness of the longest days, we lean back in towards the evening, all while deeply trusting that the drench of sunlight is coming once again. We lean in June towards porch lights and thunderstorms and candle flames and cicada songs in the night, towards the cool hush that follows a day that's been full to the brim. Welcome, my dear listener, to Wishcrafting, where together we wander through the folklore, astrology, and magic of the world around us. This is our June 2026 Almanac episode, and there's lots to do. But right now, I want you to kick off your boots, kick back, and enjoy this iced strawberry rhubarb green tea that I just made for us. And if you haven't done so in a while, go ahead and take a deep breath. Ready? 1, 2, 3. In and out. Excellent. Now that we're ready, let's get started. My dear listener, June is a threshold month. Spring has fully released its grip, and summer comes rushing in all at once. It's humid, electric, and green beyond reason. This is the season of abundance tipping towards excess. Roses blooming so heavily that their petals are browning at the edges. Gardens growing faster than they can be maintained. The scent of flowers becoming almost intoxicating in the heat. There's something important hidden in that intensity. June teaches us that even beauty can become overwhelming, that too much sunlight creates longing for darkness. For me, this year, I'm learning that the brilliance of Midsummer is teaching me, how to love both the day and the night again. Particularly the night. There's nothing to make you appreciate a cool evening like the heat of a midsummer sun. So I have been really learning how to fall in love with the night. once more. And maybe you just thought something to yourself like, oh, wish, I've always been a night owl. I've always loved the evening. I appreciate the night every single day. And you definitely said that if you're my sister listening to this episode, but just pause here, brother, okay? Because I'm talking about not just appreciation, but being in conscious, magical, co-creative relationship with the night, aided and allied with the energy of June. This is a month of ebb and flow, of heat and rain, sun and shadow, movement and rest, because the energy of June is vibrant, creative, social, fertile, and emotionally alive. All buzzwords that ask us, will demand us really to listen in to our own rhythms, to understand when to charge forward and when to cool ourselves in the evening quiet. Here are a few of the correspondences that I'm going to be working with this month, but of course, always work with what calls to you. Whatever calls to you and sings to your soul is going to be what works best for your practice. So with that, the colors that I'm working with this June are gold, green, honey yellow, rose, storm cloud blue, and gray. I've been loving the dusky blue and creamsicle orange sunsets that are happening in the corner of the world that I live in, and cornflower blue. The flowers that I'm working with are honeysuckle, rose, magnolia flower, and jasmine. Lots of sweet, heady scents. The herbs that I am working with this month are chives, yarrow, mint, and milky oats. The element that I'm working with in June is fire. I'm focusing in on fire, but particularly solar energy and lightning. The animals I am exploring this month are geese, ants, spiders, because I'm always working with spiders, and fireflies. Themes that I'm already noticing for June that I'm excited to explore this month are vitality, joy, creativity, sensuality, emotional release, and especially midsummer liminality. And the shadowy themes I'm noticing are overwhelm, laziness, stubbornness, and miscommunication that is born out of toxic individuality or old patterning. If any of these resonate with you, I would love a comment to hear what you think, what's resonating, what you're planning. And I mean that. I really want to know. Comments always help the show, regardless of what platform you're on. But if you don't want to leave a public comment, the way to contact me is in the show notes. I want to hear even if it's in an email or on a message on my SpeakPipe page. And with that, it sounds like the cosmic cauldron has just started to bubble. Let's go see what's inside. Dear listener, this month begins with momentum. Starting off strong on June 2nd, the Sun in Gemini sextiles Saturn in Aries, helping us ground our ideas into action. This is excellent energy for building something real from an inspired idea. Then on June 4th, the Moon conjunct Pluto in Aquarius may bring empowering realizations or long-awaited answers rising to the surface. Some of you may suddenly feel that you understand something that's been lingering quietly beneath your awareness for a very long time. June 5th is a beautifully productive day, with the Moon in Aquarius trining the Sun in Gemini. This is your get things done day of the month, So use that momentum to fuel the rest of your month and make it a good start to what can be a wildly productive June. And I highly suggest taking that day on June 5th to get your ducks kind of in a row, because on June 6th, the atmosphere softens a little. The moon enters into Pisces and opens a portal into creativity. This is our 6-6 portal, okay? The moon enters into Pisces and opens the door to creativity, intuition, artistry, and emotional flow. The days that follow the 6-6 portal are going to feel dreamy and immersive. It's beautiful energy for writing, painting, music, crafting, dancing, gardening, anything really that connects you to the joy of making, simply because you want to make. This is making energy. And on this day, and through this portal, I want you to remember that not every act of creation needs to be quote unquote productive, because some things are meant to simply be enjoyed. On this day, create for the sake of creation. Make because you enjoy making. Tap into creativity and art because it feels good to do so. Then, on June 8th, the last quarter moon in Pisces trines Venus in Pisces, which begins a week of emotional clearing and gentle endings. During this week, quiet realizations may arrive around what has been weighing on you for potentially months or even years. This is truly a pruning type of energy. It's not punishment, because all summer gardens require thinning so that we can breathe and make room and space, so we can let more light, more air in, take more nutrients to where it really needs to go. We're just pruning off our dead branches, our old dead pieces that have vines twining around us that are smothering us. That's this kind of energy. In the abundance of June and the abundance of summer, this day, this energy, starting on June 8th, is asking us to release what no longer fits into our life. So ride that wave, don't fight it, because changes that happen this day are for your best interest. Now, on June 9th, Venus and Jupiter meet in Cancer beneath a crescent moon in Aries. This is one of the luckiest days of the month. Joy, love, emotional abundance, sweetness, and connection. This day is alive with possibility. So, say yes to invitations, begin things, take chances, and invite in beauty. Lounge in that energy for a few days, which is going to be wonderful all in itself. But then, on June 13th, Venus enters Leo. And suddenly, June becomes radiant. If you thought that energy on June 9th was radiant, nope. This is bonfire energy, flower crown energy, dancing barefoot energy, letting yourself be seen energy, creating boldly energy, laughing loud and not giving a fuck energy. It's falling back in love with being alive energy. This is the day that kicks off our build up to Midsummer. Okay? This is a good couple of fucking days. So if you are not kissing these vibes on the lips, you are not living up to your full potential, okay? The very next day, after we all collectively group make out with the universe because we're letting ourselves feel good feelings and embrace beauty, we have a new moon in Gemini on June 14th, which is the little cherry on top of all of this resplendent kind of energy coming for this little portion of days. So on this new moon on June 14th, plant your new intentions with that confidence and bliss that Venus has been tucking into your back pocket for safekeeping for the whole last week on this new moon. All of the tickets that you have, you're going to spend them on this new moon, because by June 15th, Venus in Leo sextiles Uranus in Gemini, and may bring unexpected shifts in relationships or emotional dynamics. And you're going to need to stay grounded during this time. Whatever comes on this day, just let the emotional weather pass before you react. Some of the shifts on this day could feel very stark in contrast to all of the on top of the world blissful vibes that we were tapping into before. But that's okay, because it will pass. On June 16th, Venus trines Neptune, reminding us that kindness is sacred magic. Compassion matters deeply underneath this sky, so whatever's going on, whatever changes are happening, because you listened to this episode and you took my advice and you paused and chose to be non-reactive and let the emotional weather pass, now look at you. You're floating in calm seas and clear skies and a course clearly set before you. So, that means you know what route to take, and it is the compassionate one. Remember that on this day, June 16th, that we're taking the compassionate route, we're making the compassionate decisions, even if that means that the compassionate decisions and the compassion you're giving is for and to yourself. Now, on the very next day, June 17th, Venus opposes Pluto, bringing in some itchier emotional energy. On this day, hold your tongue when it's needed and give yourself space to process. This is a stormy emotional weather day, and summer storms pass quickly, especially when we just let them pass. So just remember to pause and let things go this day. It will make it a lot easier for you in the long run. On June 19th, we have auspicious networking energy, with the moon in Leo sextile the sun in Gemini. On this day, opportunities may arrive disguised as ordinary conversations, so keep your eyes open and be ready to say yes. On June 20th, the waxing crescent moon in Virgo helps us to finally finish lingering tasks. If you choose to lean into the energy of this day and intentionally button up loose ends, the relief that follows may feel surprisingly emotional, but in a good way. Meaning the satisfaction from finishing these things up could be an unexpected bliss that you may not feel as intensely as if you were to do this stuff on a different day. Then, on June 21st, the sun enters Cancer and Cancer season begins. The energy softens inward. We begin leaning towards intuition, emotional nourishment, home, memory, and rest. Cancer season reminds us that after all of the outward brightness of June, we also have to remember to care for the inner self. It's porch light season, kitchen magic season, listening to thunderstorms through open windows season, and generally appreciating a safe space. But it's not boring. Cancer is not boring. Cancer wants to go and have fun. Cancer just needs a place to recoup and come back to self so that they can be their most bright, authentic, present self when they are going out and having fun. This is the summer solstice, so this is kicking the door open to all of the cozy summer things that you want to do. It's asking you to remember that cozy can also be a summer thing, right? There's a reason why Cancer is the season that we have on the summer solstice. There has to be a balance there because the energy during summertime and spring can just feel so full, so intense. Like we just want to go, 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 go. And there's so much daylight that we can go and go and go and go until we're falling over into the bed. Cancer is reminding us that we have to cultivate safe space, cultivate cozy, cultivate home for ourselves so that we can continue to live our life how we want to live it, so that we can show up when we need to show up. It's also interesting that we have a water sign at the height of what is a pretty damn fiery season. So, I don't know, go to the beach or something. Go sit by water and enjoy the balance of fire and water energies mingling together naturally during this time. Then on June 25th, Venus trines Saturn and helps relationship tensions that we might have begun to feel at the top of the month. This energy is going to help resolve and stabilize those tensions, so that's something to look forward to. Then, the full moon energy begins winding up. On June 26th, the moon enters Sagittarius and trines Saturn in Aries, creating very powerful brainstorming energy. This is a beautiful day for taking chances on yourself and just going for it. On June 28th, Mars enters Gemini, energizing ideas, communication, and movement. Excitement returns, and it's just in time for the full moon. June 29th brings both Mercury retrograde in Cancer and the full strawberry moon in Capricorn, which also happens to be a wishing moon. Mercury retrograde asks us to slow down every time and to check the foundation beneath everything that we've been building. It's not a call to panic. It's just a call to pause, to notice the cracks before they widen and to take the time to repair them. And in that same sky rises the strawberry moon, a moon of ripening, of becoming, a moon that asks, who are you trying to grow into? This full moon is all about reaping what you've sown, but also anchoring yourself deeply enough to weather changes. If you choose to make wishes beneath this moon, let them be rooted wishes, becoming wishes. Some examples of some wishes that might be extra potent underneath this moon are, I wish to become someone who trusts themselves. I wish for a life that feels true to who I am. I wish to see clearly how I abandon myself during times of change. I wish for a courage equal to the size of my dreams. Or you could even wish for something like, I wish for an opportunity to go somewhere that allows me to feel the harmonizing energies of fire and water this season. I wish for a way to make my home feel more authentic to who I am right now. I wish for clarity on what I need to remove from my life in order to feel more safe. Or even if you have been on your girl boss, get shit done kind of energy that June is actually really good for, you could wish for something like, I wish for a resource of clean energy so that I can continue on this path I'm so excited about right now. This is a really, really good moon for helping yourself get that level up or that like kind of boost, that leg up in the direction that you feel yourself kind of barreling towards. If that resonates with you, if you really feel like you are really speeding very quickly in one direction and you're excited about that, if you're one of those people right now, I highly recommend that you utilize the energy of this wishing moon to its highest potential because there's a lot of it there for you. And then finally on June 30th, we have Jupiter entering Leo, which begins a beautiful new cycle of creativity, play, romance, joy, and self-expression. Though Mercury retrograde may slow things down a little bit at first, this transit reminds us that joy is not frivolous, it is your birthright. And surely you didn't think I was going to skip over the solstice, did you? No. June is the season of Midsummer, the summer solstice, the season of St. John's Eve, where bonfires burning through the shortest night of the year lit countrysides across the world. Long before electric lights and air conditioning, people experienced the height of summer way more acutely than we do now. They watched crops rise from the earth. They felt the exhaustion of relentless heat. They measured through daylight. And so the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, became one of humanity's great sacred turning points. Across Europe specifically, midsummer festivals emerged as celebrations of abundance, fertility, protection, and solar power. Eventually, it wasn't just Europe. With the spread of Christianity, celebrations like St. John's Eve were pretty widespread, but outside of Europe, Christian replacements for old quote-unquote pagan holidays were still very strong alongside their indigenous practices as well. So I just wanted to be clear on that with my words and not making super blanketed statements. But anyways, on Midsummer, communities would gather to light enormous fires on hilltops and village greens because they believed that the flames strengthened the sun as the wheel of the year slowly began turning backwards towards darkness, right? Summer solstice is the longest day of the year, and after that, the days start getting shorter. So later, as Christianity spread through Europe, many of these older solstice traditions became absorbed into the feast of St. John the Baptist, which is celebrated on June 24th. St. John's Eve, which is observed the night before, retained much of the wild folkloric atmosphere of older midsummer rites, like bonfires, processions, flower garlands, songs, divinations, and nights spent awake beneath the stars. In many places, young people leapt over midsummer flames for luck, fertility, courage, and protection. Couples jumped fires hand in hand to strengthen their relationships. Ashes from the bonfires were scattered across fields to bless the crops and encourage abundance. Midsummer was also considered a liminal time where the veil between worlds grew thinner. So, with the veil being thin, certain herbs gathered on St. John's Eve or at Midsummer were believed to carry heightened protective and magical properties. St. John's wort, mugwort, yarrow, verbena, and fern, especially fern, were traditionally collected at this time. And I say especially fern because according to folklore across parts of Eastern and Northern Europe, fern seed gathered on midsummer nights could grant invisibility, luck, hidden knowledge, or the ability to see spirits and fairies. Of course, ferns don't technically produce flowers or seeds. They have spores, a lot like mushrooms. But this only deepened the mystical reputation of collecting quote-unquote fern seed. The idea of finding fern seed became very symbolic of discovering hidden magic itself. Dream divination was also common during midsummer. Flower crowns placed beneath pillows, herbs tucked into mattresses, and charms hung over doorways were believed to invite prophetic dreams, reveal future lovers, or protect households from illness and wandering spirits. But wait, there's more. June isn't only defined by midsummer, though it is a pretty big deal. June also belongs deeply to thunderstorms, especially in the American South, where summer storms feel incredibly spiritual. The pressure drops before the rain, cicadas fall silent, green-gray clouds gather in the sky, and lightning illuminates the horizon. Within and beyond the American South, and across cultures, storms were viewed as moments when the atmosphere itself became charged with divine or supernatural power. Thunder gods rode across skies, lightning split worlds apart, and rain became both destruction and blessing. And after a storm here in the South, steam literally rises from the roads because it gets so hot. Frogs began singing. The scent of wet earth fills the air because the air is thick. and the entire world smells and feels reborn. And it's very tangible. It's a tangible experience. It's very sensory. And of course, here in the South, June also belongs to fireflies. Tiny lantern spirits drifting through the dusk. In Japanese folklore, fireflies were sometimes associated with traveling souls, love, and the dead. In parts of Appalachia and the American South, children caught them in jars like living stars, while adults watched them drift through fields and porchlight haze. Small, little lights replacing the overwhelming brilliance of the sun. Just another reason to lean into the twilight during the month of June, when the days become almost too alive and we begin falling back in love with the evening, seeking the sweet reprieve of the night and stepping into a world that we don't get to enjoy throughout the entire year the same way. A cool summer night is just something special, something to be cherished. Now, let's step into the cool June air. Now, let's step into that June air now and use our noses to seek out this month's herbal ally. Our plant ally for June is honeysuckle. And if you grew up anywhere near honeysuckle, there is a good chance that you learned the old rituals as a child. Particularly the ritual where you pinch the flower carefully at its base, pull the stem slowly, and if you do it just right, a single drop of nectar would gather at the end. One teeny tiny bead of sweetness. There are certain childhood experiences that feel almost collective, core memories that we all share that vary based on where you grew up. Where I grew up, it was catching fireflies in jars, fresh ice cream on the porch made from whatever was abundant, usually strawberries, and running barefoot through storms and wet grass. And of course, tasting honeysuckle nectar at dusk, because that's when you can smell the honeysuckle the most, and that's how you can find the most bounty. Little, tiny summer communions. My dear listener, honeysuckle is a twilight plant. Its fragrance grows strongest in warm evening air as the day turns to dusk. It climbs over fences, forgotten places, telephone poles, and woodland edges with an unruly abundance. In folklore, honeysuckle is associated with love, luck, sweetness, prosperity, and bonds that endure. Magically, it's often worked with for attraction, joy, friendship, confidence, and drawing sweetness back into one's life. Honeysuckle teaches us that love, beauty, and sweetness are wild. Not wild like feral, though they can be that too. And it's certainly fun when that is the case, but wild like natural. Unfazed with the mechanics or circumstances. Honeysuckle is so gorgeous, and it's so heady. That scent is unlike any other floral. But it grows in mats over knocked over newspaper boxes and broken streetlight poles. It tucks itself into the corner of a chain link fence, and it lives its life within the tapestry that is already there. Decadently lush with its soft yellow flowers and vining mat of leaves, honeysuckle teaches us that sometimes we are the most tuned into beauty and sweetness and our natural human capacity for love when we are just in our zone, letting ourselves be wild and free and us. When the mask drops and you let the sun wash over every imperfection, and in that illumination, you don't take the time to nitpick, rather, you enjoy your radiance. That is the fullness of this month of June in a nutshell, and that's the energetic forecast of the astrological weather as well, and that is the lesson of honeysuckle. June asks us not to fear that fullness, but rather to lean into your magic, your practice, your creativity, your power, your habits, your toolbox, and really lead with your radiance this midsummer. Even if you don't feel radiant right now, it's in there. And honeysuckle can help bring us to a place where we do feel radiant and where we can show ourselves some radiant love and appreciation that eventually turns into confidence and trust that lasts. Beyond that sweetness, honeysuckle has also been valued medicinally for centuries, particularly in traditional Chinese medicine, where Japanese honeysuckle, Lonicera japonica, is known as Jin Yin Hua, or gold silver flower. And it's a plant that's long been associated with clearing heat from the body and supporting the immune system. Honeysuckle was traditionally used for fevers, sore throats, respiratory infections, inflammation, and summertime illnesses that seemed to arise from too much heat lingering in the system, which feels fitting for June, doesn't it? A plant of cooling sweetness that blooms during the hottest stretch of the year? Hell yeah. Honeysuckle flowers are often prepared as teas, syrups, or infused in honey, and herbalists have historically worked with them for their soothing, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial properties. However, a preparation isn't always necessary because the scent alone is calming to many people, and the plant has long carried associations with comfort, attraction, joy, and emotional softness. In folk practices throughout parts of Appalachia and the American South, honeysuckle was sometimes gathered simply because it made people feel better to be around it. And there's wisdom in that, because not every medicine is clinical. Sometimes healing begins with standing in the warm evening air, breathing deeply as the scent of flowers drifts through the dusk and takes root within your soul. That said, a gentle note of caution here. While the flowers are generally considered safe in moderation, the berries of many honeysuckle species can be toxic if consumed, especially for children and pets. So always work with herbs and plants with reverence and respect, and make sure that we are identifying properly and taking this matter very, very seriously, okay? With that, let's call a circle. North, south, east, west, the quarters are called, and the circle is cast. Welcome to the Learning Circle, my dear listener, the segment where we get back to basics, just for a minute. Today, we're going over solar magic, because midsummer, duh. Solar magic is the practice of working with the energy or energetic symbolism of the sun, such as vitality, confidence, clarity, protection, creativity, warmth, and life force itself. The sun has been revered across cultures for thousands of years, probably since the dawn of humanity itself, because without it, nothing grows. Just like when working with the moon and her phases, the sun also has phases, or different times when there are different heights of archetypal properties that you can work with in your practice. It's always good to start simply. Morning solar energy tends to feel fresh and inspiring. Noon energy is powerful and action-oriented. Sunset energy softens into reflection and gratitude. But there's so much more than that. Before I tell you about the archetypal solar phases, let us first come to an understanding. In the realm of linear time, the solar cycle is much shorter than the lunar cycle, 24 hours versus about 30 days. However, Like the other celestial bodies, it is constantly moving in the sky and visiting other cosmic forces. Unlike the other cosmic forces, however, the sun single-handedly affects every part of life on Earth, and thus has a distinctive influence with a baseline of energy. That's the 24-hour cycle. And any of us at any point in time can tune into that and recognize that baseline. However, based on the time of year and other cosmic influences, the noonday sun in Gemini and Midsummer is going to feel different and hold different properties than the noonday sun in Sagittarius in December. And maybe that feels like an obvious thing to say, but as we go through the phases and archetypes of the sun that he moves through daily, I just want you to keep that in mind. Noon at this part of the year might feel different than noon at that part of the year, and that is the fun of it. Much like everything else, you could spend a lifetime learning solar magic. There's always the chance to go deeper within the spiral path that we walk as practitioners. Now, let's get into these archetypes because they're very interesting. Starting off the day at sunrise, we have the infant sun. The infant sun embraces the world, unbound by expectations and indoctrination. This is a bright and hopeful sun, connected intimately to new beginnings and our inner child. Then, mid to late morning, we have brother sun, the sun of peak masculine youth. The world is his oyster, and he's strong, vibrant, and ready to live. There's no challenge too big, and nothing is impossible. With brother sun, expansion and romance are at your fingertips. Everything is fun, and goals are just victories waiting around the bend. Noon brings in father sun. The unconditional love and generosity of this sun is felt by all at some point in their lives. Father sun understands that laughter is the best medicine, especially after a long day's work. Father sun is full of cheeky jokes and a heaping dose of truth alongside them. He sees everything and rains down warmth around you anyway. The true eternal father, his energy is healing, full, and strong. Mid to late afternoon brings us the sage or warrior sun. Calculating and clever, this sun is both sage and warrior, bringing both wisdom and power. This sun knows when it's time to battle and when it's time to let it go. Finally, we have grandfather sun or sacrificial sun at sunset. This sun has seen it all, done it all, and knows what's worth doing again. He's willing to do what needs to be done because he carries his power with the confidence of one who's lived many lives and knows that a new dawn is coming whether we like it or not. Grandfather sun is perhaps the most difficult to work with because he requires us to stand in our integrity and to own our choices. And grandfather sun helps us learn to lean into joy as we do so. This is just a small snippet of solar archetypal work. If you're interested in going more in depth in this or just interested in learning more about solar magic in general, I suggest checking out the book Everyday Sun Magic by Dorothy Morrison. This is a book that I am sure you will go back to again and again if sun witchery is your thing, like me. Here are some of my favorite ways to work with solar magic on a day-to-day basis. You can make sun water, drying herbs in sunlight to intentionally work with them in solar-based workings later on. I like to charge my items in the sun, cleanse my items in the sun, and then use said items later to either transfer energy, cleanse energy, or align energy within my body. I often light gold or yellow candles with intention of connecting to solar energy somehow. However, my most utilized practice of working with the sun is just spending intentional time outside, as if I am spending time with a beloved. And also making sure that I take time to notice the sunshine and notice how the sun is affecting the world around me and myself. You could also wear sun-associated colors or symbols. And if you're feeling real powered up or you want to bring in some real solar power, sun dances, where you do moving trance work, consciously dancing with archetypal suns of your choice, by either dancing as an offering or inviting them to dance with you, can be really freaking awesome. One is obviously to give thanks or commune, and the other is like a empowering practice. A sunrise dance, for example, is inviting the infant sun into your dance, and thus that energy of new vibrance into your body and into your life for you to carry forward and influence through your magical practice or just your general energy. Alternatively, you can go and stand or sit in the sunlight for a few quiet moments and consciously receive that warmth. Now, before we leave the circle today, I have some magic to present to you. For this month's practical magic, I have a very simple midsummer house blessing for you. You're going to need a small bowl or jar of water, sunlight, a candle, and optionally fresh flowers or herbs, like the ones that I've mentioned in this episode, or herbs that call to you. I might also consider using something like mint or rosemary because of the cooling, clearing energy that they possess. Once you've gathered your materials, you're going to place your water in sunlight early on in the day and allow it to absorb the warmth and energy of the midsummer sun throughout all its archetypal phases. If you've chosen to work with an herb or a flower, you're going to either place that in the water or around the water to create an essence with your solar water. If you're already super used to working with solar magic, you could choose to do this with just one aspect of the sun that we talked about earlier, but do whatever calls to you the most. Once you've created your solar water, at dusk, you're going to set your candle either on your hearth, which is going to be the place in your home that you feel is the center of warmth in your home. It doesn't have to be a literal fireplace. Or you can just put your candle at your front door. We're going to leave the door open, or make sure that we crack a window so that the energy that we're clearing out has a place to go, has a place to leave. And then we're going to light the candle. So we're making sure the energy has a place to go first before we light the candle. So you get your sun water, get your candle, place it where you'd like, make space for the energy to leave, and then you're going to light your candle and speak. Fire of the sun, burn bright this night. Bless this home with warmth and light. By flame, by bloom, by golden ray, let all ill things now fade away. Then, from north to east to south to west, gently sprinkle the sun water at windows, thresholds, and doorways. As you do, imagine warmth, vitality, peace, and protection filling your space. This is a blessing not only of purification, but of aliveness and all of that solar energy we've been discussing. And with that, the circle is closed. Listener, June reminds us that life is not always quiet. Sometimes it arrives loudly, through thunderstorms, through overflowing gardens and brilliant heat and longing, through joy so intense it hurts, it aches. And yet, after every day, the night. Evening still falls. Fireflies rise from the grass, the air cools, the porch light glows. And as the night continues, a sunrise. The wheel turns and turns and turns. May this month bring you moments of sweetness hidden in ordinary places. And may you remember to rest without guilt. May you let yourself bloom without fear of taking up too much space. And beneath the strawberry moon, may you dare to wish boldly for the life that awaits you. Happy June, my dear listener. My name is Wishamaya, and until next time, don't forget to keep your roots deep and your dreams wild.